Hey guys, so for today's 5th grade worksheets, we are going to start off by classifying angles. Now, the base angle you want to make sure you get down is the right angle, which is 90 degrees, or you can just think of it as a perfect corner of a square. So there are 3 different kinds: acute, right, and obtuse. We already know what a right angle is, so let's look at acute and obtuse. Acute angles, I like to think, are skinnier or less than 90 degrees, or on the other hand, obtuse is wider than / greater than 90 degrees. So let's look at number 1 and 2. They're 2 different ones, but looking as I wrote over here, number 1, it is much skinnier than this right angle. So this is an acute angle. And here, number 2, you can see it's much wider. So this is an obtuse angle. And number 3 is just a classic old right angle. Okay. So it should be pretty simple, nothing too much. Now, let's look at prime factor trees. So if you don't know what factor trees are, it is basically a diagram that you make if you don't know what small numbers can create one big one. So let's look at number 1. So we can see that 7's already filled out here. When creating this factor tree, you'll always want to remember it's multiplication. Unless you are going here, this is division. Let's look at 7. So 7, the only multiples are 1 and 7. So it doesn't have any more branches. However, there's one over here, the square. 7 times what equals 28? 4. And then 4 has more multiples, not just 1 and 4. So what are they? 2 times 2. Now, let's look at 140. So there's nothing on here, but we can figure it out. So let's think of some numbers that only have a multiple of 1 and that number. We can go with 7. And 7 times what equals 140? 20. Now, again, 20 have some more branches. We can go with 5 and 4, because 5 only has 1 and 5 as a multiple. And 4 and 2, once again, 2 and 2. Now, adding fractions. You probably have added fractions before with the same bottom number or denominator. And you can't add these fractions because how are you going to do that? They're not even the same size. So you have to multiply 4 and 10. How do you do that? Let's set up an equation that's easier to multiply by. Like this. Okay. How we're going to do this is something called cross multiplying. So cross, 10 and 1 are across, 7 and 4 are across. However, 4 and 10 are going to multiply to get the same denominator. So let's see what that will look like. We can start off with 7 times 4, which is 28, over 10 times 4, which is 40, plus 7 or 1 times 10, which is 10 over 40 again. We're going to add these two up now that they have the same denominator across. So, or you leave the 40, of course. So you get 38 over 40. Now you could stop here, of course, but we can go smaller and more precise by dividing. So let's try dividing this by 2. You get 19 over 20. 19 and 20 have nothing in common to divide by. That is your answer. Let's try one more. Let's try number 4. there's no same denominator, so we gotta multiply. Cross and across. The bottoms, 4 times 1, 4, over 3 times 4 is 12, plus 3 times 1 is 3, 4 times 3 is 12, which leaves you 2. 7 over 12. 7 and 12 have nothing in common. There is your answer. Alright, let's move on to the last worksheet, which is distributive property. Now, this is easier than it looks. So, let's look at the example. We see two numbers, 2 and 22. We can see that 22 is a much bigger number, and when figuring it out, solving it with distributive property, they distributed the 22 into two numbers, 20 and 2. Put it in here, and you just multiply by 2 and add. And as you can see here, 20 times 2 is 40, and plus 2 times 2 is 4. Add these two up, you get 44. Let's try number 1. Now, we see that 21 is a bigger number, and we know that 21 you can do 7 and 3. So let's try it. And 10 is an easy number to multiply by, so probably the best option. 10 times 7, 70, plus 10 times 3, 30, equals 100. Boom. Alright, one more. Let's try 5. Oh, yeah, let's try number 5. Now, we will see here that 23 is the bigger number, but 23 only has the multiples of 1 and 23, and we can't really use that, or else we could just straight up do 4 times 3. So we have to, unfortunately, break down 4 into 2 and 2. It's going to be a little bit of a pain, but it's going to be okay. Plus, alright, 2 times 23, 46. Once again, 46 equals 92. I hope this made sense, and thank you for listening.